Well, Margaret Thatcher is to be given the ultimate accolade of a state funeral when she passes away, becoming the first British Prime Minister since Winston Churchill to be bestowed such an honour. Now, this apparently is in recognition of her achievements as the first female Prime Minister. But should her funeral be a state affair?
I don't begrudge her the state funeral at all. And I know it isn't a popular thing to say and cue the boos, but I was a big fan of Margaret Thatcher. For all her faults, I didn't agree with everything she did. She did a lot of things wrong, but I thought as Prime Ministers go, I thought she was a great Prime Minister because I lived through the 70s and I remember how awful it was and how, you know, it kind of looked like it couldn't be repaired. And she did restore the country back to greatness. It's kind of gone backwards again now, but I mean, I think she did a very good job. And yeah, I think she was so unique and so interesting that she does inspire that kind of love. Either love her or you absolutely hate her.
Or the opposite.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, I do think
she's the one as well that people will always, as time goes on, you know, will always remember. It's like Winston Churchill, Margaret Thatcher, because she was the first woman Prime Minister. You know, I will always remember
to give her a state funeral, I don't think.
Well, I'm like Carol, you know, I liked her in her reign, and I thought the first few years she was brilliant, and I really admired her, and I admired her conviction. She was so strong. I think in the last few years she went a bit power crazy, but, you know.
I don't argue with that. I think she was very strong. On the other hand, you could say she did absolutely nothing for women. You know,
she was a woman.
Yeah, but just because she was a woman, you'd think she'd have been supportive of women who had to go out to work, and she wasn't at all helpful to us lot who were trying to work and earn.
Why not?
Well, she didn't help. I can't go back through all the things, but you know, she made it very difficult. You couldn't work without her. You know, she had help at home, and basically she had a husband who
sort of felt she was in a position where she could have given a real break to women.
I just think the whole thing about a state funeral. That why not leave it as a state? You know, okay, there've been 4, I think. I mean. And she was the first female.
But it's terribly expensive. It's going to be £3 million to lay on a state funeral. And to me, what a waste of money. I'm sorry, it's a complete waste of money.
Better off having a couple more prisons.
And you know, she has to have recognition for being the first female, you know, Prime Minister. Whether you liked her or didn't like her, she was extremely unpopular when I was growing up in Scotland, north of the border. There was very, very few Margaret Thatcher fans for various reasons. But I think it would also, if you had such a high-profile state funeral for her, it would stir up a lot of the divisiveness which I think she inspired. As you said, people loved her or hated her. And to resurrect that now in the country in its current state, what's the point?
Yes, but, you know, this happens with quite a lot of things when people decide to spend money on something like that. You know, I didn't vote for the Olympics. I hate the Olympics. It's costing an absolute fortune. It's costing something like £12,000 million, not £3 million. You know, and I think, actually, she deserves it. I know people will hate it. They'll absolutely begrudge her that. They'll resent it. They'll resent the government. I would like to ask the question, like, who actually decides who gets a state funeral? I remember Tony Blair put the idea forward, first of all, a long time ago.
Because he wants one.
Because he probably wants one. No, exactly. So I'm a bit suspicious of that, but... You know, well, it's going to happen anyway.
Anyway, don't worry, because she's not gone yet. Let's leave it. Yeah. It's a bit thingy, isn't it?
OK, as always...